There are continuous visits to these waters throughout the year. Many flocks arrive from northern Europe, fleeing from the harsh winter. Others have their breeding grounds here, so they do not appear until spring. Lastly, some anatidae use the Ebro Delta as a simple resting place on their journeys of migration. They arrive from the north around about October, and before the year is over, they continue their journey south. The male's plumage stands out because of its vivid colors with which it tries to attract the females. The females, however, do not need to attract anyone, and their priority is to protect their eggs. Their plumage helps them to blend in with the surrounding vegetation. Every year, the lagoons receive the visit of another great migratory bird, the great crested grebe. The vegetation on the riverbanks is essential for the construction of its nests, and the river fauna provide them with enough food to enable them to raise their chicks. Shortly after birth, the chicks already accompany their parents when they go fishing, and they immerse themselves in the water for the first time. This wealth of fauna would not be possible if the waters were not also full of life. This meeting of river and sea has given rise to a great diversity of habitats. The waters that are nearest to the river are fresh, but as the coast becomes nearer, the salt level rises. This variety is reflected in the fauna. In the delta, it is possible to find typical river species, sea species, and even some that have adapted to both mediums. Of these, there are two very rare species which, in spite of their size, are considered to be zoological treasures because of their uniqueness and their tiny population, namely the Iberian tooth carp and the Spanish tooth carp. The only other European colonies of these fish are in isolated parts of southeast Spain. The shores of the lagoons and shallow waters in general are home to the most important bird group, the wading birds. The different species are distributed across the delta according to the salinity of the water. Some birds, such as the avocets, prefer salt waters, while the solitary sandpipers prefer their waters fresh. Ducks, avocets, black-winged stilts or herons cover the whole park and have made it the second most important aquatic habitat in the Western Mediterranean after the French Camargue. The abundance of life in these waters has not gone unnoticed. The Ancañizada and Tancada lagoons have been national hunting reserves since 1966. The fish supplies have also been tapped from ancient times, and the brotherhoods of fishermen already existed in the 12th century. On the beaches, people catch Donax clams, small mollusks that live in the sand and are very popular among the local people. There is a very tight control over this activity. Only Delta residents may catch shellfish, and even so, licenses are limited. Thanks to this control and to the imposition of a closed season, sustainable catching levels have been set which do not endanger the population levels of this mollusk. Each area has its own specific fishing technique. The hopper, or gangul, is a special type of net which is used for catching eels and crabs. This net is left submerged overnight. The next day, the fisherman goes back to the places where he left his nets, empties the contents into his boat, and then replaces the nets.